Welcome back to the Martial Arts Mindset Podcast. I am Rachel Rose, and I'm here today with a very special fighter coming straight out from Kent. He's 27, sitting at a huge 6'11". No, that's wrong. 6'1". Wrote
Six,
the numbers
they
down.
say 6'1". It's 6 foot. I'm 6 foot. They say 6'1". I don't know why, but I'm 6 foot. I'll lose
keep,
an inch there.
keep the inch. Why would you give it away? Why would you give it
I don't
away?
know.
Thing is, I can't gauge anybody's height because I think like, I'm only 5'5", but I think I've got like Chihuahua energy, so I'm around everyone, and then I'm like, wow, everyone's really tall when I watch back the footage. But when I'm with people, I'm like, we're basically all the
You
same
think of the
height.
same height,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
he's 6'1", not 6'11". Oh, no, he's not even 6'1". He's 6 foot, with a
Six
record
foot.
sitting of 12-0. Welcome, Elliot Whale.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We met each other back in, oh my gosh, the time is flying. April?
Yeah, Easter Sunday it was,
It
April
was,
20th.
yes, yes. And you were off the back of a brilliant win, off the
Yeah.
back of back-to-back camps with no fights and quite a bit of a challenging time for you, like mentally, physically, emotionally. How are you feeling now? You've had a bit of a gap and a bit of a break to kind of regroup.
Yeah, I feel a lot better now. I feel mentally refreshed, you know what I mean? Physically, I feel good. I'm going back to the Midlands Monday. So that's like, well, I've had about 4 weeks off now. I've still been training, but just down this way. Yeah, I feel ready to get back in the ring now. So happy days.
Yeah, that's probably a good 4 weeks off is probably about right, I'd say. For, of course, you're
Yeah.
having a move about and stuff, but that was pretty taxing on the body, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like just the keep telling I'm fighting, and I mean in camp. My last fight before that was September, and then we got the call to try and fight. It was Echo Esmond, to be fair, in November. We obviously we accepted the fight, and it was going on for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I was in the gym, and then not Echo, but I think their team didn't really want that. Then they ended up fighting Ben Vaughan instead, which was another hard fight for him anyway. But yeah, so from then I trained up till Christmas. Had a couple of weeks off over Christmas at home. Come back in the new year, was meant to fight mid-Feb in Saudi on, like the show before the main show. They used to do them little six rounders. I was actually scheduled to fight on that with my, like, Spencer got me on that. And a couple of weeks, about mid-Jan, we got a phone call, do I want to fight Feb first on Sky? And I said yes, obviously. The day before the weigh-in, the fight fell through for some reason, not sure why. And then obviously I found out that the Saudi, they scrapped that six-rounder thing now. So that one fell through. So then, yeah, I had a couple of weeks at home again, and then obviously we got the call for this one, so, or the last one. So yeah, I was back in. So it's very taxing on the body, like keep making weight and that. Obviously, I'm big for the weight, so it gets hard. And then obviously, to be honest, mentally after that, I won. It was my biggest fight, against Lucas, and probably weren't as focused as I should have been. I think because obviously I didn't even know I was fighting until maybe 2 weeks before the fight. I just didn't even know if I was going to get on the show again. Do you know what I mean? So probably a lesson learned there, and just got to remain focused all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think you've done a good job considering, you did come out with the win, and that's not an
Yeah,
easy navigation. I think people really don't, if they're not really close to the sport in the way that, say, I am or you are, like they can't see
yeah,
what goes on behind the scenes that leads to these fights. They kind of see, especially if they're casual fans, they'll see like the Anthony Joshuas of the world and be like, oh, what a dream. He just beats people up and gets paid millions, or doesn't get beat
yeah,
people
yeah.
up, depending, but they don't see the levels of grit and determination and patience and everything. What do you think your biggest takeaway was from that process to like think moving forward if you're in that situation again, or mentally what you learn, or what was your biggest takeaway?
Probably. I don't really know. But it's probably I'm obviously mentally strong. I've had a bit of shit my whole career. Do you know what I mean? And I've stuck at it, and now finally we are reaping a little bit of rewards for the stop and start career that I've had. Do you know what I mean? I've obviously signed with Boxer, but yeah, I'm not sure really. Just got to stay focused, stay on it, because you are eventually going to fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, need to just stay on it. And I think mentally, I've probably switched off a little bit for that last fight. Leading up to it, probably not doing the things that I should have with the food. And I was, but I was snacking a bit too much. And do you know what I mean? Little things like that. I think I just got to try. You got to stay professional all the time and just stay on it. So that's the thing I've learned. That so if it happens again, I'll just stay on it.
I guess it's hard, isn't it? Because you just had
Yeah,
four back-to-back experiences where it fell through. So there was probably something in your subconscious which was like, well, what's the point in being completely disciplined? Because it's probably going to fall through
yeah.
anyway. And that's where it gets
But
really
that's
hard.
what I did think. yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to fall through, and obviously, for about 4 weeks before the fight, we sort of knew this is the fight they wanted. This is the fight Ben wanted. He wanted Lucas Ballingall. Obviously, he was already arranged to fight on a different show a couple of weeks prior to the fight. Then obviously he was still on the. He was, I think he was still on the show, but they was going to pull him off and then announce our one. This was like 2 weeks to go before the fight, and then I was scrolling on Instagram, and we obviously follow each other anyway. And I see he announced that he's fighting in Dabassi. Do you know what I mean? And maybe this was 2, 3 weeks before the fight, and then I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm definitely not fighting if he's fighting in Dabassi. Like, so yeah, I think that's why in my back of my mind I didn't think I was going to fight. Do you know what I mean? But luckily things got sorted out, and I did fight, and I got the job done. So yeah,
Yeah,
can
you
move on
did.
now.
Yeah, you did. You did it
Yeah.
in great fashion. So let's go back a little bit to sort of
Yeah.
like early days, Elliot. What was the thing that kind of, I mean, I have this theory, and you and I joked about this the other day that like anyone who boxes, we're all sort of we're all as tapped as each other. We're all
Yeah.
we all have this like this need, this want, this safety, this peace, this joy in the kind of beautiful violence that is boxing. Um, but there's always like a story behind why people connect to it, why boxing finds them, why it lands, why it stays. So what was the fight before the fight for you? What was the thing that drew you in and kept you in your early days or earlier days?
Um, well, to be honest, I started boxing when I was 7, and I went to the gym. We had a football team. I was playing football at the time, and I just went there to get fit. A couple of the boys from the team, they're from my same primary school. They went, so I just tagged along with them. Then just the minute I walked through the door, I don't know, like I don't know the smell, and I liked all the people training hard. You know, like it was just a good environment as soon as I walked through the door, and I thought, God, yeah, this is a bit of me. And then I liked the training, and at my gym we had an Irish coach, a very heavy set Irish accent, and he used to pad me, and he used to we do the pads. I was only about 7 years old, and he used to be like, "You're going to be a world champion," you know. Like obviously, I thought at the time I didn't know if he was black. No, no, I don't know if he was blagging, just trying to keep me, like getting me involved and things like that. Do you know what I mean? But when he used to say them things, it sort of put a little bit of belief in you. You know what I mean? And then I enjoyed it. And a couple of weeks later, the two boys trained with from football, they give up, and I just stayed there. And I ended up staying there till I was 21 before I turned pro.
And what was
So yeah.
what was your reasoning like behind turning pro? I mean, obviously you've got the obvious reasons, but it's not like it's an easy career path to decide
Nah.
I want to make a go of this. So what was it for you?
Yeah. Well, obviously at the time, I didn't actually know or understand how hard the pro game was. You know what I mean? Business wise, I didn't understand. Obviously, looking back at it now, I threw all my eggs in one basket. You know what I mean? From the minute I was 7, I always wanted to be a boxer. So I, d- I didn't do the best at school. You know what I mean? I don't know no trade. Didn't learn no trade. I just done boxing. That was my thing. Obviously, looking back at it now, I think maybe you should go and do a trade, do something because the pro game's very hard. Do you know what I mean? Just so you have something to fall back on. Like I've got nothing to fall back on, so I've got to make this work. Um, but yeah, that I don't know from the get go. Really, I wanted to go to the Olympics when I was young, and then eventually turn pro. Obviously, the Olympics didn't work out, but we got to turn pro. Yeah.
Do you think that the fact that you don't have or you didn't have a plan B was one of the reasons? Because I do think that there's a blissful naivety and not understanding sometimes. Like if you knew how hard it was going to be, would you even try? Do you know what I mean? If somebody sat down and gave you
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
had a full blown understanding, like you just wouldn't even bother. So there's a
No,
kind
of
of
course.
there's like a beautiful naivety in just like trying and then realizing along the way, like, fucking hell, this is tough. But do you
Yeah,
think
it's
that
just tough. Yeah.
not having a plan B is the reason that you've got to this point in your career with that mental resilience? Because you're like, I have no other
Yeah,
choice.
definitely. Yeah, because obviously I remember before like growing up, probably when I was about 16 to my early 20s, like I used to think I was disciplined and dedicated and things like that. And I don't know. Obviously, once I had the time out of my like something happened with a contract, and I was sitting on the shelf for like a year and a half, and I thought I was going to retire. Then when I was looking back at it, I was thinking, what am I going to end up doing here? You know what I mean? Like I can't do nothing else than box. You know what I mean? So it's only really going to go one way, and I didn't want it to go that way. Do you know what I mean? And that gave me the kick up the arse to obviously leave the gym that I was at and make the move to Midlands. And I think I think I'm glad that I've thrown all my eggs in one basket because it makes me train that even harder and try even harder to make this work. It's got to work. You know what I mean? I've got two kids at home and a missus that I need to make this work and give everyone a better life, myself included. You know what I mean? So it's got to work. So I think that is important. But also looking, if I was young and someone explained my career, obviously I feel like I've come out the other end of the shit times as a pro now. But if someone sat me down when I was younger and said this is what's going to happen and you weren't going to come out of it, then obviously. Um, I think maybe fall back on something, but obviously I'm lucky that I've come out of it and I'm all
I,
right.
I also think that there's like you can always start again. Like I don't think that anybody's got a timeline on their existence. Like so, you'll push the pro game as far as you can push it to get to everywhere you want to get to, and then
Yeah.
what happens after that you'll navigate. Like that's just part of being a human. I think we are way more adaptable than we give ourselves credit for. I like
Mm,
my whole life blew up 2.5 years ago, like absolutely shattered to the ground, and I could never have predicted
right.
how much I was about to lose. But what
Yeah.
I've built off the back of that loss, I'm like, there's no end. Like you're
Nah. Yeah. Yeah.
the end is when you're dead. So there's
Yeah. That's
always
it. Yeah.
so it's quite obviously it's great that you've come out the other side, but I think there is a kind of a beauty in the journey of struggle that helps teach us so many more things, that you came out the other
Yeah.
side of that lull, and you're like, all right, I survived all that. That's fine. Like it's good now. I'm gonna be fine. Like
Yeah.
everything that happens
That's it.
next. You've got two little ones, a little girl,
Yeah.
little boy, or two little girls.
Yeah. A little boy, a little girl. Yeah.
You gonna let them
My
box?
little. I don't know. I don't know. My little girl. I don't. She's a nut already. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I might take my little boy down the gym just so he can defend himself and things like that. And see if he gets the boxing bug. But I don't think my missus would be too happy.
Why wouldn't you bring your little girl down there to teach herself how to defend herself?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if she wants to go. You know what I mean? I don't want to. I don't really want to force them to do nothing. You know what I mean? If they want to do it, I'll take them down the gym. You know what I mean? I'll try and get my little boy to do some shadow boxing. He's only two though. You know what I mean? I put my hands up and let him thingy, and he gives me a couple of slaps. But I don't want to force them to do nothing. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If they get older and want to go to the gym, I'll take them. Yeah.
Watch her become world champion now.
Hopefully.
Watch it be
Yeah.
her. It'll be
Hopefully.
her. You'll be like, I'll
Yeah.
take my little boy down, and she'll be like Caroline Dubois and be like, nah.
Yeah, she'll come on and she'll go and do it. Well, if they want to, they're gonna dedicate their life to it. They can do it. You know what I mean? But obviously, for now, just enjoy their life at the minute.
Yeah, of course. I just find it interesting. I find it an interesting question because obviously, your pursuit of passion of the thing that you love, but you know so much about it from the
Yeah,
business, the dangers, how taxing it is. So it's interesting to think that, you're at where you're at with a goal and a dream, which we'll get onto soon, to be where you want to be. But then to think, oh,
yeah,
would you hand that over to your children? You're like, oh,
yeah. I don't think I'd like. I don't know if I'd like to. You know what I mean? This is a hard game. You know what I mean? This is There's a lot easier ways to go and earn money and things like that. And I just think obviously this is what I've chose to do. I don't know if I'd want. I don't know if I'd want my kids to do it. Obviously, if they choose to do it, then they got to understand it's hard work and sacrifice, discipline, things like that. But there's easier ways to earn money. You know what I mean? And at least I ain't got to get punched in the head. And you know what I mean?
yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Would you ever want to coach? Is that something you'd ever want to do?
Uh, I don't know. I got quite a good boxing brain. You know what I mean? Obviously, my coach that I train at now, he's got an amateur gym as well. So I always give them little tips, and they always joke about and say I should get my lanyard and do the amateur coaching. But listen, I don't know. They see that it takes a lot of time being a coach away from your family. I'm already away from mine. Once I'm done from boxing, touch wood, I'm financially secure and I can spend some time that I've missed out back with them. You know what I mean? If I was going to coaching, boxing's like I don't know, it gets in the way of everything. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of sacrifices, and even as a coach, you got to coach kids that they're not even your own. You know what I mean? And you sacrifice lots for them kids. You know what I mean? You're away from your wife or your kids again. Do you know what I mean? It's tough. I don't know. I don't know if I'd get into that.
Do you think that's been the hardest thing about this game for you? Has been the family sacrifice?
Uh, yeah, yeah, and no. Do you know what I mean? Because when I've got a fight date, I don't find it too hard. Do you know what I mean? Because the back of my mind, I'm doing it for them as well as myself. You know what I mean? So, and I do truly believe I can be a world champion. I do truly believe if you get to that sort of level and you're going to earn some decent money, and then if you invest your money smartly, I feel like this is the best chance I've got at securing a good future for my family. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm in camp, I don't find it too hard. Do you know what I mean? But over Christmas, I was there for like after the November fight fell through, and we didn't get it. I trained until Christmas, and then that time was maybe like 4 or 5 weeks, and then I missed my kids. Well, I missed everyone badly. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to come home then because I didn't really have an end goal. I wasn't doing it for a fight. So I mean, so when I'm got a fight date, not really. If I'm just up there, that's why I like to stay at home. You know what I mean? Because I do miss them. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's the tough side of the game really is just like having to navigate your
Yeah.
time, make it all fit, and then obviously really dedicate your time in those big chunks. What
Yeah.
what's been your favorite moment so far?
In my pro career,
Yeah.
um, my favourite moment's probably joining my new gym, BCB and Boxmart, up with Errol, Paul Man, Shiny. Do you know what I mean? I think that's my favourite moment. Not even a fight, just in general, being around people that believe in me and actually want to train me. And do you know what I mean? They're all for me. You know what I mean? They truly believe in my abilities, and I think just being around good people. That's probably my best part of my career so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that when you are around an energy that is positive, that is hopeful, that is um, forward thinking, it makes it much easier to sustain that energy within yourself, especially on the bad days. And if you're
Yeah.
surrounded by
Yeah.
people who
Definitely.
like believe anything's possible, it's like, oh, anything's possible. I've definitely noticed that since just being around all of you lot, like being in the pro world and just being around energy where
Yeah.
things are possible, my
Yeah.
limitations have expanded and expanded and expanded because I'm like, well, if they've done it, like, no, I'm not being a
Well,
world.
anyone can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be a being a world champion. It's just, yeah, but they took a goal and a dream and they've made it happen. So why can't I? And
Yeah.
it's just
You can just use the same sort of what's it called? Same sort of strategies that pro boxers use, the same sort of mindset, but in just different everyday life. You know what I mean? You ain't got to use it to, like I said, be a world champion, but you can do it for your own goals. You know what I mean?
exactly, and that's why I decided to do this podcast because it was how can I show people more about the mentality that I've learned and adapted to being in this world
Yeah.
and spread the word, spread the stories because I think people see elite athletes as being something so far removed from who they are, but actually when you have the conversation, you are a normal human being, but you have
Yeah.
a mindset that has molded to something through trial and error, through limitations,
Yeah.
through pushing, through hard work. It's not a magic formula. But that being said, do you think that that mindset, that ability to dig deep, that resilience, everything, do you think that is something that you are born with? Or do you think that it is something that is built into you? Or do you think it is a combination of the two?
Oh, that's a good question. I think probably a combination of the two, but I do think at a young age you are born with it because there's some people that are born with it at a young age. I was never a quitter. You know what I mean? And then you'd be around people, and you can just see them in the gym as an amateur, young boys. When the game gets tough, they ain't got it. You know what I mean? They don't like to push themselves in training and things like that, or just in general, even outside the boxing gyms, people in life. You know what I mean? You can look at them and say that like some people ain't got no arsehole, they got no backbone. You know what I mean? Like they got no grit in them. When the game gets tough, they do hide. You know what I mean? So I think you are a little bit. You must have a bit of it born in you, but you definitely can train that. You can train yourself to get it in you. I think. You know what I mean? But maybe I was just born with it.
Well, I think it can be it can go one of two ways. Like you can be born with it and then it be beaten out of you. So you start, like you go through bad experiences and then you give up.
Yeah, yeah,
But you can also then rebuild it again. I'm basically a prime example of that. Like I started with the fire, experienced a lot of bad things. The fire started to die
yeah.
and I started to quit. And then once you quit on yourself once, you can quit on yourself as many times as you want because you've done the
All the
first one.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, you can just quit on yourself.
yeah,
But then so after 14 years being told I'd never fight, I got in the ring in 2022. And because I got a heart condition, no one would sign me off, no one would let me
Right.
fight. And then I had to basically sign a
Yeah.
waiver for a white collar company and be like, if I die, that's my fault. And
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
that to me
Sign your
was
life away.
literally like, hey, it's my responsibility, my heart, my issue.
Yeah.
But that day for me, it was like I rewired a communication within my brain, which was I don't quit when things get hard because it was the first round she'd hit me so hard. I've never been hit that hard in my
Yeah.
life, and I sat down in the corner, and my coach was just like yapping away at me, and I couldn't even see. You know when you're like so dazed and confused, and in my head I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that was awful. Like, what am I doing? And I was like, right,
Yeah.
I've got two choices. This was literally going on in my head. I was like, I've got two choices. I could throw in the towel and be like, nope, it's just too hard. I don't want to do it. Or it's 4 minutes of my life. And I just,
Yeah,
it
just
was
get
like,
up and go. You know what I
yeah, that
mean?
was it. Just like a click, a switch went off. And I was like, I'm good. And my coach was
Yeah.
like, are you sure? You've just been silent the whole time. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. Finished the fight. And from that moment, I rebuilt a connection in my brain, which was I don't quit when times get hard. So that became my new
Yeah.
narrative again. So it was built, born
Yeah.
that way. It died and then it rebuilt. So I do think that
Yeah.
there
You
is
can
a,
definitely build up. You definitely can build up mental toughness and things like that. Definitely.
and if you're in a gym where you are around people that believe in you and feed that positivity into you, I suppose that goes for the nurturing as well. Because if you're in a space where you are on the shelf and people aren't taking care of you, it's very hard to maintain that sustainability by yourself, right?
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. Obviously, I've been in both situations, and obviously being in the gym I'm at now is a lot better. It's better for me and mentally, physically. You know what I mean? So
Definitely. And you've got good stable mates, right?
yeah. So obviously at Box Smart with Shiny's gym, we've got only me and Aaron at the minute. Oh, and little John Tom Vary as well. Who's a very good amateur. He's turning pro soon, so should have an announcement next couple of weeks. So I won't say too much, but
Oh,
he's a good fighter.
exclusive.
So yeah. So we're more of a I'd say Shiny's gym is more of a prospects gym, although I don't really count myself as a prospect now, you know what I mean? But obviously Aaron and JT, they're coming through. Um, but obviously I train at BCB as well with my manager Errol and Paul Mann. And obviously they've got the likes of like Liam Davis, Tyler Denny, Zach Parker, they've got a few others as well that have gone and won Midlands titles and things like that. So it's just good to be around everyone, yeah. A different mix of gyms and I'm enjoying it, yeah.
Amazing. What do you want for yourself?
I want my hard work to pay off. Um, I just want it to what I've envisioned, what I think my future life could be like through boxing. That's what I want it to pay off and give me and my family that. You know what I mean?
What does that life look like?
Um, I don't know, just to hopefully be financially set up. Well, that's what I want. Financially set up. You know what I mean? Not saying I need to earn millions in boxing, but if I can earn decent money and invest it, do you know what I mean? Whereas when I'm done and walk away from the sport, if I've put it into things and then I ain't really got to go to work. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, still work, but don't actually have to go and learn a trade or go and do anything. You know what I mean, if I'm put my money in the right things, that's what I'm hoping, and then yeah, just live a comfortable life really, and yeah, a quiet life.
Yeah, sounds good. And that's actually been a bit of a consistent thing. Like a lot of boxers, people misunderstand that the violence means they like chaos. Actually, people just want to go box, go home, sit with the kids, ignore the world, like
Yeah,
shut it all out.
that's it. Yeah, I'm a laid back person. You know what I mean? Until I get in the ring and actually fight, I'm quite laid back. I ain't too loud. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite quiet. I like to just train hard, fight, and then come back with the kids and that. So yeah,
Do you
that's what
think
after
though?
boxing, hopefully.
No,
Yeah,
carry on. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd say after boxing, that's all I plan to do. But hopefully, just be in a better situation financially, so you can do more things and let your kids experience more things. You know what I mean?
So obviously, I've met quite a few fighters now, and actually, the consensus of energy type across the board is that everybody is very calm. Everybody's
Yeah,
very, actually, quite a lot of people are quite shy. Um, I know I have a capability to sort of let people feel safe, so they tend to relax around me quite quickly, which is nice. But it's, some people aren't, they don't really want to talk to the media. They're just like, I'm just here to box.
yeah,
Do you think that actually the reason that is the case, that you're all very calm, down to earth, very level, is because you have that physical, aggressive outlet to go and release any of the maybe pent up aggressions or emotions or anxieties or stresses of life because it comes out of you physically.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Probably. I don't. I'm not sure because obviously some fighters are loose cannons and mad. Do you know what I mean? Some of them I'm mad people. You know what I mean? But I'm just chilled out. You know, I'm laid back, chilled out, and obviously when we fight, it's different. It's business, and it's you gotta. I've got to keep winning to provide for my family. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I can change it when I'm in the ring. You know what I mean? But yeah, day to day, I'm chilled.
Yeah. But I don't think I think it's a very special switch to be able to switch on and switch off. And I think controlled
Yeah,
violence is a very hard thing to do. I think that's why it should be taught in schools. I think it would be
yeah, definitely.
I think it would be really good for boys and girls. Girls to learn to understand that they can be strong in their body, they can protect themselves, that kind of thing. And for boys to have the discipline of hierarchy, to learn how to, there's an element of respect, right? If the winner wins,
Yeah, yeah, it's done then. Yeah, you can just shake hands and it's done. And I think also like it's mad because I don't remember when I was really young. Obviously, I don't remember my mum and dad used to tell me like at football and things like that. I used to fight quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? And I don't remember. I was on, and this is when I'm like five. You know what I mean? 5, 6. I used to be quite angry fighting. And when you go boxing, it's sort of I don't know, like the discipline, respect. It sort of takes it all out of you. Do you know what I mean? And I think that should be taught in schools because there's a lot of, especially nowadays, there's a lot of shit going on with young kids. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like, and I feel like before it gets too late, which it could already well be. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like they should put some boxing in some schools. But I think the day to day, everyday Joe has got a thing of boxing. They think everyone's violent and it's. Do you know what I mean? And I think people might think, oh, they're nutters or they're. You start doing that, kids will be fighting more. But it actually does the opposite. I think. I
I
think
fully
it,
agree.
look at like you say, yeah,
I fully agree.
most fighters are like you say chilled out and are actually respectful. Like you wouldn't. Anyone who don't know me wouldn't even know I'm a boxer. I wouldn't think like I think I'm hard. You know what I mean, or anything like. I think it just boxing gives you respect and learns you that sort of stuff. So I think yeah, it should definitely be taught in schools.
But also, I think, you don't have to prove how strong you are because your boxing shows that anyway. So, like I said about like the hierarchy
Yeah,
thing. So, people who are out in the pub, it's because they're actually insecure about their own value and feelings. So, they have to start fights and aggression and get their emotions out
yeah,
somewhere because they're trying to feel good about themselves. And that's why I think
yeah, definitely.
that's why as well, people with very fragile egos don't last very long in a boxing gym. I've
Yeah,
obviously, as a woman, I observe things very, very differently because down
yeah,
here where I'm in Devon, there are so few girls in the gyms. So
right.
my sparring partners are, I'd say, 97% boys. So and
Yeah,
some of them are like grown men, young lads, like whatever. So me having to
yeah,
communicate with them, like, hey, remember, I'm like 60 kg. I am
mm.
genetically a lot smaller than you. Please don't treat me like
Like a
somebody
man.
like a man.
Yeah,
Because I think
yeah, no, yeah,
because some of them as well, because I'm a coach, they think, oh, I can kick the shit out of her. Like it's almost just like
yeah,
but only the ones who have very fragile egos. And I'm
yeah,
not, I don't need to prove myself to those people. So I just stop sparring with them and I'm like, I don't need to
yeah,
fight you because actually you should go and fight
yeah,
him who's way better and way bigger and then see how you feel after he's kicked the shit out of you. And then you can see how it feels for
yeah,
me. And it's very interesting observing that in the spaces and learning like who I can trust, who I can't trust, the personality types and da da da. But overall, everybody who comes out has less to prove because they're proving it within the ring, they're proving it within the gym, even if they don't go
yeah,
on to have a pro career or whatever. So I definitely feel like if that's installed from quite young, you're already gonna have a different energy around.
yeah, definitely. I agree. So you never know. Hopefully, I don't know if it happens in Parliament and things like that. Hopefully, they can pull their finger out and start to like allowing boxing to be taught in schools.
Maybe I clearly feel quite passionate about it. Maybe I should go and start pushing in Parliament.
Yeah, you should probably yeah do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should maybe start flying the flag for it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
literally. Start getting some signatures, talking to all of you lot and be like, can you sign this for me? Um,
Yeah, I mean you get a good few anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I think I would. I'm not going
Yeah,
to take up too much of your time, Elliot, because I know it's Sunday and it's family day, and you actually don't have the kids today, so it means that you and the missus can have a nice day together. Um,
yeah.
so, um, what is the best piece of advice or wisdom that you have been told so far?
Oh my God.
Or something that someone has said that's really stuck with you?
I don't know. I'm not sure, you know. Probably, you know what? Probably my coach at the minute, Paul Mann, always just says, "Stay on it. You got to stay on it." You know what I mean? Like, and I think he's true. It's so right what he's saying because you never know when that phone's gonna ring. You know what I mean? You never know if there'll be an opportunity there, and if you're not staying on it and you're not ready, you might miss out on a life changing opportunity. Do you know what I mean? So I think that probably that's the one that I can think of at the top of my head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just look at Josh Padley.
Yeah, exactly. Where he obviously must stay quite close to his fight
He
weight
does.
and always training. Luckily enough for him, he got a lovely phone call. You know what I mean? And life changing money. You know what I mean? And obviously, hopefully, he invests his money well and can keep. And he obviously got signed off the back of it by Matcher Median. So yeah, hopefully he invested his money well and good luck to him. And
Yeah.
that's why you got to stay on it. Yeah.
100. I mean, I met him. I trained with him out in Marbella 2 years ago, and
Oh yeah.
he was ready then. He just walked around ready.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, he was always just
Oh,
like
man, that's
he was always waiting for the phone call, even then. And then 2 years later, that came right. And
when he
obviously, I
gets
don't.
that. Yeah.
I only met him 2 years ago, so that doesn't count for the amount of time before that he spent ready.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
he's probably been on it since he turned pro. You know what I mean? Just waiting for a phone call, especially when you're not on them, when you're not signed by no one and things like that. You've sort of got to stay on it because you're as an away fighter. They try to give you the less amount of times anyway. You know what I mean? More time than not. If you're an away fighter for like one of the bigger fighters on these TV platforms, they try to give you like 3 4 weeks at best. You know what I mean? Like, so you do
Oof.
have to stay on it. Yeah.
I
Obviously
didn't know
now
that.
yeah, they try to do you over, you know what I mean? They try give you the opportunity to not give you a lot of time.
It's so
Definitely, that's what
naughty.
happened.
No, winners are built
Yeah,
when there is a fair playing
I know.
ground. Come on,
But that's what
guys.
they do. That's what they do try and do. They definitely try to give you less amount of time as possible. Do you know what I mean? But good luck to him. I'm happy for him. I don't even know him, but it's good when you see things like that. He was going to work and now he don't have to go to work and he can go full time. It's good to see that.
Because also it gives you that drive as well to be like, my life could change like that.
Yeah, like
Like,
even before when I boxed in September, we was away on holiday, so I just boxed. Then we went away, and about 2 days into the holiday, my manager Errol he rang me and was like, "My name's been put forward to fight Josh Kelly on the Wembley show where he was meant to fight Liam Smith." So
yes.
it was me and a couple others I heard. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it was up at 160, and obviously I'm only 147. But I just said to him, I said, listen, I can't say no. You know what I mean? So put my name forward, and if we get lucky enough, like, obviously I'll come back from my holiday. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause it was actually that week I was on holiday, and it was that weekend. Do you know what I mean? I said, and then obviously they picked someone else, but
You were
then
ready.
Ismail Davis, yeah, I was ready. And then Ismail Davis got a good bit of dough, I think, and then obviously got the opportunity to fight out there again, even after getting beat, and then again probably got another nice bit of dough. So you have to just, yeah, you never know when the opportunity might come. Do you know what I mean? That's why, yeah, stay on it and never know. Hopefully, you get a nice phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't doubt that one is coming for you. Just one more question before I let you go. There's some big
Yeah,
names in the 147 arena at the moment,
yeah,
and around the 147
yeah,
arena, like 147, 154. Who would you
yeah.
like? Who would you like? Maybe like top three you'd like
Uh,
to fight in 147, 154.
154. I've not really thought about. Do you know what I mean? I've not really thought about that really
The
because
the only reason
obviously
I'm
I
saying
do
that because
fight at
they
147.
can come down. So that's the only reason I was saying
Yeah,
154 as well, because you've seen them dance
yeah.
between the two.
I feel like I've probably got the frame. I've got the frame that I could do both. I could go up to 154. So if an opportunity did arise there, I'd take it with both hands. 147. I don't really know like who I want to fight. Do you know what I mean? I'll fight anyone. If you just look at my box rate and look at the opponents that I fought from my third fight, I fought someone 4-0. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not scared to fight no one. Um, I'd like the British title. That'd be good if I can get a fight for that. Or really, I want the big names of the division. You know what I mean? I want to get the big names. So I would like. would have liked to fight Harlem Eubank, but obviously he got the Catchwell fight. Thing is, though, it's hard. You know, when like, I want the big names, but the big names are going to want the even bigger names. You know what I mean? So it's sort of hard to find that thing. But that's why I let my team, Errol, Spencer Brand, and obviously they work with Ben Shalom, and they choose who I fight, and I just say yes. You know what I mean? It's that simple. I don't really have my eye on no one. I just do my own thing, and yeah, there's not a welterweight out there that I wouldn't fight, and I believe I can beat all of them. You know what I mean? At that level, we can all beat each other. So just gotta believe in yourself, and yeah, I'm ready to fight anyone. Really?
Amazing. Elliot, thank you so much for giving me your time today. It's been really nice to catch up again because we spoke briefly
Yeah,
in, where were we? Birmingham? Were we in Birmingham?
yeah,
No. Yeah, we
Birmingham,
were. Oh my
Birmingham. Yeah,
gosh.
it
You,
was. Yeah,
I've been in so many different places
you've been too
recently.
busy. You went to all these different shows, didn't you? Yeah, no,
Literally.
Birmingham. That's a laugh. That's a laugh
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I can't keep up with where I've been and where it was and when it was, but I know it
Yeah,
happened. That's the good thing.
yeah,
But yeah, it's been really nice to catch up again and really nice to see you well rested,
yeah,
taking some time off and very excited for whatever is going to come next. And obviously you're going to tell me first for an exclusive when your
yeah.
next fight
Well,
is,
I'll let you
obviously.
know.
This is the
As
thing,
soon
you
as
got
I
to make
find out,
friends.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Really
that's
looking forward
okay.
to seeing what comes next, and I'll be, hitting you up for a signature on my proposal to the government about boxing schools.
I'll give you one of them, no problem.
Legend. All right, mate. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cheers. All right,
Bye.
chill out.